All right, so today I would like to show you how to use this surface called Deepmotion. And what it is you can upload a video to Deepmotion and get back mocap. The mocap is not perfect, it still needs a bit of cleaning. So I'm going to show you that process today, how to go about from A to Z. And you can use it in your previous starting next week. So you can shoot yourself with the video with a camera, a cell phone. Um, just make sure you shoot it on a tripod, like the camera is not moving, and wear a bit of tight clothing. Don't wear baggy clothes because the software or whatever they have, like AI in the background. It's better if there's contrast between the background and the foreground, and your clothes are a little bit tighter, so it doesn't try to over animate or over it won't get confused. So steady shot, steady camera, and try to pick the angle that's best in terms of silhouette. So clear action, tight clothes, no baggy clothes, and contrast between the background and the foreground. Okay, so in this case, I found something online. I just searched for green screen videos, and there's a bunch of stuff that came up. Try not to pick, if you don't want to use the same exercise as the same video as I have, try not to pick fast motion like kicks or punches, because I've tried those, and I noticed it just the software doesn't keep up. The software is still, it's in infancy. It's still this beginning for them, so I'm sure it's gonna get better. But pick something like this, like subtle motion or walking, maybe jogging. Jogging could work. Anyways, running, you probably won't have enough space to run in and out of the shot. So pick something like this. The girl walks in, she's waiting, crosses her arms, and then takes off. They shot two angles. You don't need to. You only need the front one. The front one has the best kind of silhouette. So I'm gonna take this, download it, keep vid.ch, paste the YouTube link, only the single, continue. Choose the highest quality. Don't click on download, click on the little icon beside it. So now you'd click on the three dots and just download. All right. So now we're ready to go to Deepmotion. So the website is called Deepmotion. I signed up with a new one, so it gave me 1 minute of, yeah, this is the old, I believe it's Animate 3D, create animation. Go with default because custom custom player, you can upload the custom character, but we don't need that really. So see here are the suggestions shooting the video. So camera should be stationary and parallel, like giving the best silhouette. Character placement, the entire body from head to toe should be visible, located 2 to 6 meters from the camera. Lighting, neutral lighting, obviously contrast between the background and the foreground. There is some limits on the size of the video. Maximum size allowed is 300 seconds. Yeah, it has to be an MPEG, so make sure you, if you know, I'm sure most cell phones now, they shoot an MPEG, so you don't need to worry about it. But if it's over 50 megs, you might have to recompress it to bring it down. Occlusion, subject should not be occluded by any, obviously don't put a chair or a box in front of you. And clothing, do not wear loose clothing. Covers knee joints like knees and elbows. All right, so I'm gonna drop in the video that I just downloaded. Is that, I believe that's the one. Yep. And just drag and drop. Keep everything by default. FBX output, yes, You don't need to worry about everything else. And then enable MP4 output. Doesn't really matter. Create. I think they're adding a bit of features as they go along, so you might see some new features. So now it's taking the video and converting it to an FBX. I'll show you where to see the limit of how much time you still have left. Still loading. So panning with the right mouse. So as you can see, it's not that bad. It's gonna rerun the see how wonky it is with the other one, because it's not a good angle, it's not a good silhouette, so it's more wonky on the second one. Anyways, you get the idea. It's really good, you know, the poses, timing is there. You just need to clean up a little bit the arms and basically use it on a character. Okay, so after it's done the process, if you go in library, so See, you will see here how many animations, total size, and how much time you have left. Total time 29 says. So I've used up half of my limit. Okay. So in here, this is the file that I just uploaded. You can preview it again by clicking on this, and then you can download it. So let's download the FBX. Doesn't really matter, adult male, female, doesn't matter. Choose FBX. Okay, so now it's in here. I'm gonna take these two and go in Dawson. I will create a new folder and call it Deepmotion. So this way I know these these files, excuse me, these files are Deepmotion specific. Okay. Unzip the file. And let's open that up to see. Okay, they give you two FBX files. So I think we we definitely need the one with the T-pose. Is there skeleton? Yes, the skeleton is here. Perfect. So this is actually the mannequin for Unreal. This is new. They started doing this new. It's fine. So we don't really need the mesh. We can freeze it. Let's freeze it. Whoops. Skin or mesh. That's what we've been using for the last while. And yeah, you can see the skeleton here. For some reason, it's very small. Yeah, so if you end up with something like this, here's what you do. You go in schematic view. You hold down space and you right click on the top one, or you can go like this. Then you basically you select all the joints, you go in properties, and then just increase the size of the bone, because for some reason they're very tiny. So now, yeah, now we see the joints. Okay, so what does this thing look like? I'm gonna switch to frames. If we press play, there we go. We see the motion, everything. And then it's probably gonna start the second one. Yeah. So we'll probably end it at 336, okay? Because we don't need the second part. Okay, so what do we want to do? What's the first step? Anybody wants to chime in? Nobody. All right. It's okay. It's the first assignment we did. So, enable to retarget this on another character, we need to characterize it. So we need to turn this, just like the Mixamo stuff, we need to characterize the skeleton. So we just drag and drop one of the character in the templates. Characterize. Characterization process did not complete, so it's missing some bones. So we need to do this manually. It's unfortunate because unlike the Mixamo one, the naming of the bones are compatible with Motionbuilder, while this one is not yet. They're probably going to update it in the future, so it's okay. Anyways, if you have multiple ones you're going to do for your film, you can just do it once and then merge like the Mixamo stuff. So you only have to do this setup once. Okay, so I'm gonna rename my guy to called Deepmotion. Deepmotion character, Deep Motion, yeah. So this way, when I merge my character I want to use for the previs, I know which one is Deepmotion, which one is the other guy. Okay, so pelvis is good. Spine, let's see if all the spine bones are there. I believe it is. Yep, yep. And the top, bottom one, yeah. Head and neck, Samash. And the shoulders, so we need this one. Assign selected bone. Everybody remembers this, right? Hasn't been that long. All right. And the hand. So it is assigning, whoops. It is assigning the other side, which is good, so it's going to go fast. You don't need to assign the fingers because I believe there's no motion on the fingers. The software doesn't do it. Yeah, it doesn't do it. So you can skip the fingers. You just need to pose the fingers on the... Once you retarget on your character, you can just pose the fingers. Assign. A little trick to go down the hierarchy is Alt, arrow down. Again, Alt, arrow down. And the last one is the toe. Okie doke. Believe that's it. We have a check mark. And what do we do now? We just lock this. Lock the character, biped. And now if we, I believe, yeah, it should be working. There we go. Save. Ooh, that's a bad save. So I'll save it. It's okay. I saved it on top of the downloaded file, which is not a big deal. So what I'm going to do here, I'll just give it a proper name. Well, let's name it the name of the assignment, which is week 8. Call it week 8, easy character. Well, week 8. Deep motion, it's okay. Easier. Joe. Okay, so now I'm ready to import, let's say, character and retarget it on it. I would choose any character, doesn't really matter. Should we go with Mia? Yeah, let's merge in Mia, merge with options. Use the plus, it's okay. You don't need any takes, so she's gonna merge into this take, which is called video playback. She's almost the same size. All right. I'm gonna rename the steak to a proper name. So walk and wait, something like that. And I'll use raw mocap. So this way, because what I'm gonna do after starting to edit, I would like to duplicate the deck, so this way I leave the raw mocap as is, just in case something goes wrong with my poses or my editing. I have a take to fall back on. Okay, so I'll duplicate this because it's raw, it's untouched. I'll duplicate it and call it, let's say, edit 1, because now I'm ready to retarget and edit. Okay, so now I'm going to work on this take and leave the previous take raw as is. Okay, so Mia, if you guys remember the last class, I showed you some retargeting character to character from like Pepe to, sorry, from forgot which character I used, from like a big guy, normal size human to Pepe. In this case, the characters are closer to each other in terms of proportions, so it's going to be an easier retarget. So I'll switch the character to Mia, and instead of source, right now, source, she's being driven by her own character, I want to be driven by the deep motion. Okay, so as you can see, she fits pretty nicely. The arms could be better, but let's see what she looks like by default, like without changing these. Okay, I'm gonna hide the other mesh, and actually, yeah, just to compare, range horizontally. So this is Mia's skeleton, this is the deep motion. I'm gonna change this color to red. You'll know exactly why in a couple of seconds. Because I want to compare what the mocap skeleton is doing and what she is doing, her skeleton. Okay, so this way when I press play, I see kind of the difference and how far she is. It's really not that bad. See some feet sliding here. In general, she's really following the mocap. I'm gonna try to, so she is floating because she is a little bit taller, I believe. Yeah, she's a little bit taller. And my bad, I think the raw mocap is going through the ground. So we can fix that easily with story mode, right? We could just bring her to the floor level, to the grid level. But I'm gonna try a few reaches here to see if I can get it a little bit better. So that's not affecting anything. It's actually, if you look at the knees, they're hyperextending, so we don't want that at all. I'll try the spine a little bit because she does look like she's hunching over a little bit to see if we can straighten it up a little bit. Arm wise, I think she's good. We don't need to see if I use the reach on the hands, her hands are trying to go to the location of the mocap, the deep motion skeleton, and we don't want that. We don't want it to be relaxed in relation to her body, right? The head is a little bit too upright, so maybe, yeah, no. A little bit of rotation. Let's see what that looks like. Go back to frame 0. It's not bad. It's workable. So we can start our edit. You know, there's not much we can do with these more to help the overall quality. So now to start the editing, we're ready to bake to the control rig, because right now we can't. The only thing we can do is play around with the reaches. Okay, so we need to bake the Deepmotion stuff, the skeleton, which is driving the Mia. We need to bake that motion onto the Mia control rig. So make sure you're on Mia, bake to control rig, 3 dots. There's no control rig yet for her, so it's going to create it and bake the motion at the same time. 30 FPS. We'll switch this. Oh, let's switch it before. Before baking, I always check what my frame rate is and then bake. 30, no key reducer, plot. Okay, so now what do we get? Now we have the control rig. Oops. We have the control rig and the motion on top. Okay. So I don't really need the Deepmotion anymore. So we can, you know, if you like to work like this, you can actually hide the joints. You don't need them anymore. Okay. So by doing that, just clicking on this to hide the skeleton makes the scene a little bit cleaner. Okay. So first thing, we're gonna bring her to the ground level. I'll go in front view. And the easiest way to do this is in story mode. So insert character track, Mia, insert current take, turn on story mode, and then take the clip, put the ghost mode on, and just bring that down so that her feet are flush with this light gray line. Okay, where do you see the numbers is where the grid is, the 0, 0. So I'm just gonna scrub through a little bit to see her. Yeah, now the T-pose is going through, which is fine. You don't really need the T-pose once you need the motion. You don't need the T-pose. T-pose is just there for processing and characterization and stuff like that. Okay, so we fixed the ground thing. Now we can bake. I like to bake. It's instead of going through the menu every time, just switch to full body and go in here, key control, animation plot selected. It will plot using full body mode on what you have selected, which character you have selected here. I should say here. So it's whatever you have selected. Like if you have multiple characters, it will bake the selected character. Okay, turn off story mode. Just double check everything is fine. There we go. go back and go outside of story mode. So what do we want to fix in the beginning? We want to fix, there's some pops here and there. Obviously, some of the poses need fixing as well. So let's try something. I'm gonna bring in the video. And just use it as reference. Okay. So we can use it to be on top of Motionbuilder. This way we can scrub through and see what kind of problems is there. So she did so it's up to here. So I'm gonna trim it here. Range end to current. So now it's gonna loop from here. It's just gonna play back this section. Okay. So as you see, her hips are pretty smooth. But there is a lot of up and down. Okay. So it's not that bad actually. But what I want to start with, so let's see. Let's check the poses actually. It would be better to check if she's doing the same poses. Yeah, see at this stage she is a little bit low. If you compare it to the video, her leg here on contact, her leg on contact, it's more straight. Okay, so we want to try to modify the up and down curve to be similar to what she's doing in the video. Okay, so let's try that. You select the hips and then you go in the F curves, and I believe it's the Y, right? So if we take the Y, you see there's a lot of jaggedy, so we're gonna need to clean that up too. Yeah, could do that. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to do this over the weekend, so I'm kind of doing it on the fly. So what am I doing here is I'm taking the curve for the Y and just scaling it a little bit down so that she doesn't do a lot of up and down. So now if I display the curve, it's less than it was before. See the difference? Up and down. That's how you, oops. That's how we scale. But we don't need to scale everything down. We just need to scale the peaks, basically. Okay. So we can select this, the peak curve, and in here you see fall off radius. Let's type in 10. And then if you move that down, or maybe 10 is too much, maybe 5. It's gonna take the previous and the next keys and bring it down with it. So it's like a radius of, it creates a radius around that curve that you chose, and it just brings down the curve a little bit. Actually, we want it to go up. Yeah, on the down, we need to do the down basically. Because the down, she's going down too much. So let's try that instead. Yeah, that should be enough. Obviously, we need to clean these curves at the same time. Actually, we could do that. Yeah, we can delete these. So now it's a little bit, oof. Yeah, not good. We might have to do undo. Yeah, I have a better idea. Let's clean up the curves before we start modifying the curves, because you see all this all these parts, we can clean them, we can smooth them out before we apply any modifications. So the way to do this is, everything still okay? Yeah. So let's try that. Full body, we select, say, all the pieces, all the pieces of the control rig. We select translation and rotation. You press F on the F curve. Okay. We select all the curves. And then there's something here called filters, okay? In the resources. What are we going to do? We're going to apply a smoothing curves on these curves. So this way it removes the peaks or the jitters. So if we choose Butterworth, there's a filter called Butterworth. And by default, let's try the default values. Cutoff frequency 7, sample rate 30, and we click on preview. Is there more settings? No, that's it. Click on preview. Takes a while to apply it. What happens if we zoom in now? Let's see if we click reset. It does see, it applies a little bit, but maybe not enough. So I want to try maybe a lower setting. Let's see if maybe 5. Yeah. So let's see what that, oh, it went back. This one is a little bit finicky, so if you apply, you have to preview it right away. don't click on anything on the viewport. Let's see it. It's a little bit better. There's still a lot of up and down, but at least the curve's a little bit cleaner. So let's accept. And then we jump back into the pelvis curve. And see, I removed all those pops. Okay. So what you want to do is just take the parts where she goes down a little bit low, radius 5, and just bring that up a little bit. Okay. Same thing with this one. Maybe she's going a little bit high too. Let's see. Yeah, see, she's not going that high. So maybe we can bring this one to a little bit. Her back leg is still bent a little bit. So this one is not bad, it's not as high, but she's probably too low. I'll bring that up. And then the next one. Yeah. Let's see what that looks like. Always check. So she's hyperextending here, the back leg. So probably we went too far. Just keep it like this for now. Maybe these ones are a little bit high. I need to select all of these and bring them down. All right. Okay. Starting to look a little bit better. Like you can always compare it to the previous one. Oh, what happened? I think we didn't bake. It's weird. Maybe we didn't bake on this one. I remember that we baked. Strange. If I switch to control rig, yeah, she's there. Okay. Anyways, we can switch back. No, let's just put story mode. It's weird, I'm 100% sure that it was. Maybe I forgot to bake. Anyways, plot selected. Bring it from story mode. Turn it off. And now maybe just compare a little bit with the edit that I did. Yeah, it has a little bit more jitter, the raw mockup. What else do we want to do? I don't really like this pose. I don't think she's that. She's that spread apart, and see because of the proportions are different. She probably is trying to compensate. So what I want to do is I would just want to bring the feet in to match what she's doing in the video. So here we can start working on a layer. Okay. Is there more jitter to clean? No, it's okay. We don't need to do the whole thing. We can maybe just, because we're kind of running out of time, we can probably end it here. Before she walks off. Okay. 355. So I think this pose is better. Yeah, see, it's closer. So I'm just gonna tweak maybe here. Take this pose where she stops. And just change this pose a little bit, bring in the feet a little bit, and try to match what the video is doing. Okay, so here I create a layer. I don't need to create a... Actually, yes, I'll stick with the full body is better. I'm switching to this one because I don't want to pull the body parts by mistake. So I'll start creating poses where I don't want to basically touch the mocap. So in here on the passing, this pose is fine. So I'm going to create a pose here. Then as soon as she touches down on the pose, I'll create a pose here to know that, okay, this pose needs some modifications, okay? So let's see where I think up to possibly here. And then once she's in here, she's leaning to her left. I think it might be okay. Yeah, here is okay. So I just want to modify this section here, okay? So take the foot and just check where. So see here, she lifts off and plants it. So is she doing something similar here? Yeah. So clearly in this section, her foot is closer to her center of mass. So right now here it's way too far. So I'm gonna take this pose and just bring it in, okay? Somewhere around here. Make sure it doesn't go through the floor. If you remember, small tip, if you create a floor, you can easily tell if she's going through the floor or not. Plane, just drop it in, right click, 0 translation rotation, and now we can scale it, right? Now we can freeze as well, so we don't select it every time. Okay, so now I brought it in a little bit. I can bring in the other one as well, because the other one is way too far. Check my pose on the side. See, now she looks like she's bending because I brought in the legs. Looks like there's a bend, but compared to the video, she's not bending. So I need to push up the hips a little bit to compensate for the new pose. Okay. So like this. I might as well fix the arms because they're not kind of touching her hips. Her hands are on her hips. We'll worry about the fingers at the end, so don't worry about it too much. Again, keep in mind, guys, if you don't really see what she's doing with the other hand, so it's okay, you can probably fake it. So keep in mind that only clean what you need. So I'm doing this whole exercise for the whole clip because just to show you the tricks. But let's say you only need maybe the walk part or maybe the idle part. Just clean that part, you know, like edit it as you see fit. You don't need to clean the whole thing. But for this assignment, try to clean up the whole thing just to practice the techniques. Okay, but when you're building your previs, only clean what you need. Okay, we are missing a little bit of rotation on the head, so I'm just gonna add it a little bit. So see, now the pose matches what the video is doing. I feel like she's maybe a little bit bent too forward. Maybe bring it back a little bit, just a tad. That's it. Okay, so now she settles into the pose nicely, but then she slides all the way here, right? This pose is not correct as well. So I'm gonna take these offsets that I did here, all the modification that I did on this pose, try to see if I copy paste if it gives me a better pose. Kinda does on the legs. The arms I'll need to touch anyway, so we can tweak the we can use the offsets from here to here as a base and just tweak it, right? Okay, so frame 114. So I'm gonna go to that frame and see what kind of modifications I need to do. See, it's not that bad. The legs are okay. Some reason the offset on this is she's floating the foot. So I'll show you a little trick with the IK. So you can, in Motionbuilder, you can take the previous IK position and copy paste it to the next one or the previous one. The way to do this is on the toe. So if you select the toe, okay, and you right click in here on the key, you see these two options here. You can either match the next key or the previous key, which is this one. Okay, so I'm gonna try copy previous key on selected IK object using translation only. Okay, and what that will do is it will take the toe position on this key and match it exactly on move this key to match the previous key. So now if I switch to the previous, see, those two positions are the same. You can also use translation alone or translation rotation. So let's see what translation rotation does. It kind of works, but be careful with this, because now if you look closely, it added a little bit of rotation on the foot. So I like to use only translation because it kind of locks the position and it keeps the rotation of the foot as well. So it's like, you know, you're rotating off the ball joint of the foot. We can do the same thing with the ankle. In this case, we can use translation rotation. So see, because this pose was offset off the ground, it's adding the same offset here. So we need to fix this first. I forgot to look at the foot placement. So I'm gonna bring this down, rotate it, because I want it to be as flat as possible. Again, if your camera shot for this small clip, you don't see the feet, don't clean the feet, right? So just think about when you start building your previews, think about that kind of stuff. But just for this assignment, please try to fix it or clean it as much as possible. Okay, so now we can do the same thing again. Previous. See, now it's locked. It is kind of, oh, this one. Okay. So my keyframe type is auto, so that's why it's overshooting. I'm gonna change it to linear and switch all of interpolation on all of these to linear. It still floats a little bit, but there's an easy way to fix this. So we still need to fix this pose. You know what, I'm gonna make it a lot easier. Let's just clean 136 frames and show you all the techniques instead of trying to clean up 300 frames. So just clean 136 frames. Because maybe some of you are not going to really use this. Okay. Is she moving here? No. Okay. So let's go back to 136. Oops. I'm gonna match what she's doing here at 100%. Create a key. And now I need to fix the arms. Okay. I'll start with the inner arm. I can lock the arm and pull out the elbow a little bit to match what she's doing, so we don't get we get less penetration. And then take the other arm. It's gonna be a little bit difficult, but because of the different proportions, but we'll do our best. Right. Rotation. have to pull out the elbow more. Okay, let's try this and then pull out the elbow a little bit more, just to cover it up and make it match. Okay. It's not bad. Let's check the previous pose. So let's say 114. Again, you're always checking poses, right? So keep that in mind. She maybe that much? Yeah, I think she might be off a little bit too much on the side here. So I'm gonna use full body, release the pinning, and just snudge the whole pose closer to the previous pose, right? Because she was probably in the mocap when it was transferring, it moved the whole pose too much. So we can easily fix that in a layer. So now what's happening? Yeah, she's moving less to the side. And the foot is kind of better. It's not sliding all over the place. So let's go back into 14. So her arms are already crossed. So what we can do, we can take the same pose we did here and see if it works. So I switched to body part. I'm gonna copy the pose we did here on here. Okay, so copy, paste. Oh, lost. Control C, Control V. Nice, that works. It's looking good. Don't worry about the feet. We'll clean up the feet at the end. There's a. I'll use the same technique as I used a little bit earlier. So this looks like another pose here. So it's like the pre-cross. So let's check if this is correct. So that would be 96. What? That's a little bit off. What happened? Am I missing something here? Okay. So she starts crossing at 114. No, way earlier. Why is it so? I'm just muting to see what's going on the bit layer. Why is it so off? I don't know. I'm not sure. 103. It's a little bit off. It's okay. We can match it by hand. We don't need to. It was work. The syncing was okay with the frames there. I'm not sure what happened. It doesn't really matter. So right before she lifts off, so maybe like this pose. She is looking the other direction, so let's take the head. Fix that. Actually, let's create a full body pose. And her arms a little bit back. So we can bring that. I think the elbows too are not that. The elbows are a little bit more inside. Her arms a little bit closer to her body. And we can lock pin the hands, and maybe the hand is too much rotated like this. The foot is a little bit weird here, this one. So let's see if we can fix that. I'm not sure what's going on. Might have to just rotate it a little bit. And the other side, go on global, rotate comme ça, and lift it up a little bit to remove the hyperextension. Now what we can do is we can I think this, so the position of the toe is okay between these two poses, just the last one that we need to fix. So copy previous key, translation. So now, yeah, there we go. Okay, what else? Maybe as soon as she settles here, maybe we need to look at this. There's a lot of hyperextension here. So yeah, when she settles, slows down and settles, that's a key pose we need to hit. It's already pretty close to the video, so we don't need a lot of modification. Oops, sorry. Let's check this out. Sorry, guys. It's already pretty close. I don't think we need a lot of modification. Maybe just bring down the hips a little bit. And the head, she's looking more to her right. Okay. Move in the arms a little bit closer. Let's check the feet. The feet are okay. And I believe the passing pose was okay. Maybe the contact maybe we can fix the contact here. Which is pretty good too. Maybe she is a little bit bent too forward, so let's try to fix that. Oops. The hips. I don't think we need this pose, because try not to create too many poses close to each other, because sometimes it creates noise, so leave a bit of breathing room between each pose. So it is a similar process than we were keyframing before, if you remember. So always look at your key poses and modify those using the mocap as a base. So let's see what it looks like. It's not bad, right? So if we compare it to 136. There's a big difference. See the up and down, the stance, the pose, and the arms. There's a huge difference in quality, right? It still needs a lot of work. It's, you know, an hour is not enough really to clean up mocap, but it's already, for previous purposes, I think it's good. There's still the arms are kind of floating here. You can definitely fix that. So once you nail down your key poses, matching the video, then you can like go in and on body part and just try to match what she's doing in the video. I don't know, like this arm is really floating. If you look, she has her hands on her hips, kind of. So you can try to, in body part, in here, just try to lift up the arms up. And try to make it a little bit cleaner. In here too, it's going back. Small things like that. It's gonna make it a little bit better. It beats keyframing, right? If you need to do this for your previs, it's definitely there. So only clean up from 0 to 136 just to make it a little bit easier. I don't want you to clean up the whole thing, just to practice the techniques. You know, the layers, the foot IK, the poses, keyframing, using the filters to as a start to clean up all the jaggedy Butterworth filter. Remember that name. Can't forget it. Butterworth makes it all buttery smooth. That's it. You can use, like I said in the beginning, you can use the same video, the same characters even, but if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, choose something else. By all means, if you find something you want to shoot yourself with the cell phone, shoot a video and upload it, use the service, by all means. If you're running out of time, just use the same reference I used. Any questions?